everybody, and welcome back to the Come Play Podcast, episode 14. Today, it is just three of us. It is me, Brendy, and Bobby. Introduce yourselves, boys.
Alright.
Hi.
Zach is not with us.
Intros so overrated.
It really is. We gotta
Yeah.
we'll just get right into it. No,
Yeah.
I just want to mention that Zach is not with us on the podcast today, so that takes Zach's thought of the week out and any music talk, which, to be honest, I was hoping he would be on this week because there was actually some really good albums that dropped today. One of them being Meek Mill. So yeah, I wanted to see if he would mention that, but he's not here. So anyway, we will continue on.
We'll save that for next week.
Yeah, we will. And he'll be back with music talk. But right off the bat, we did want to mention something. I know, Bobby, this was for sure definitely part of your childhood. I remember sleeping over, you watching the SpongeBob.
Fuck, I'm getting a phone call.
Wow. Christ almighty. Oh fuck, my pizza.
Dude, fucking Spectrum, stop calling me, man.
See?
I just love that you said, like, fuck, I'm getting a phone call from you.
Alright, we're keeping that in, right?
Yes.
Alright, yeah, so I'll just continue on from
My God. Fuck, I'm getting a phone call.
I promise, like,
Oh
that
my
was not
God.
on purpose.
I Jesus Christ.
Did you hear my phone go off?
No, I just heard you scream. All right, moving on.
This weekend, Zach's thought of the week.
Yeah, Zach's thought of the week. Who the hell could piss Brendy off with a phone call in the middle of a podcast?
Fucking Spectrum.
Yeah.
See, I think this was a part of all of our childhoods, especially Bobby. What we are referring to is SpongeBob, and the creator of SpongeBob, Stephen Hillenburg, died. I think he was age 58, I believe, and it was from ALS. ALS, and yeah, I remember the thing. SpongeBob was a good show, but for some reason, this is what reminds me of SpongeBob. This always will be. Is Bobby loved the show? I swear, was it your favorite show when we were kids?
Oh, absolutely. That's not even a question.
I figured, and literally, you'd be standing in front of the TV, staring at it, and I would talk to you, and nothing would register. I'd be like, "Hey, Bobby," and you would not move. You would just keep watching it.
Yeah.
Great show.
Yeah, it's got a lot of background in my family. It's a show I quote probably every day. There are so many just memorable quotes because this wasn't just like an ordinary kid show, as I'm sure a lot of people know. There were some jokes in there that kind of resonated with even the young adult and even the parent audience. Like there's the big thing with the show was that both parents and children enjoyed watching this show.
Yeah.
Like most of the time, I have a sister who's 8 now, who, I would have to watch her, and, she'd have on like Paw Patrol, and I'm like, I want to blow my brains out.
What
but
the
like,
fuck is this bullshit?
It's so bad. And it's like we, SpongeBob was always the show that, I could sit there and watch. I'll watch it by myself. I do not care. It's so good. But yeah, I grew up with it. Both my younger sisters grew up with it. A lot of people, that I know grew up with it. My parents love it. It's just, every time the Sweet Victory episode comes on, we're always, singing at the top of our lungs. It's something that resonates with me. It's really sad that he passed away, especially from ALS. Something that's just, God, I can't even imagine that kind of life when you're diagnosed with something like that. It is a brutal way to go. But and yes, it's not sports or video game related. We know. But this is something that I think resonated with all of us. Someone who made a show that inspired many others to create, to become creators and to expand their imaginations. So we wanted to give a brief thank you to Stephen Hillenburg and happy trails.
Well said. Yeah, that was always a favorite for everybody. But we'll move on to our first sports story of the day, which um, I'll kind of let Bobby take control of because this is close to his heart. But some big changes for the Philadelphia Flyers after a very disappointing start to the season, and a lot of call for change, a lot of call for change at the head coaching position. That's not where it went. The general manager and former Flyer Ron Hextall was relieved of his duties, along with, I believe it was was it the assistant coach or assistant general manager? I forget.
Both.
Both. Okay, yeah. So
Chris Pryor and Gordon Murphy.
right. So kind of cleaning house a little bit. But I know there's a lot of fans out there that are still not happy with who's behind the bench. So yeah, Bobby, I'll kind of let you run with this and kind of give your opinion and where do you see this going forward. And um, I actually did want to mention there's been a lot of reporting on who's going to be the new GM. I've heard Dave Nonis of the Ducks would be a candidate. I can't think of the guy's name off the top of my head now, but a guy in the Sabres organization. But yeah, Bobby, go ahead and give your take on the debacle in Philly.
So let's start from the beginning. Let's start with Mr. Ron Hextall. Ron Hextall, one of the all-time great goalies for the Philadelphia Flyers. First goalie to score a goal. He's a favorite in the Philadelphia sports world, and someone who he wears his heart on his sleeve in terms of the franchise. He loves this team. Even after his press conference today, he continues to support this team. I was excited, and even when he was hired 3 or 4 years ago, I wasn't as deep as a Flyers fan as I kind of became. But just the idea that his name was back within the Flyers organization as a front office role made me happy. I know there's kind of a bad stigma around bringing former players back into old organizations front office roles. It doesn't work. Sometimes it just doesn't work, or sometimes it does. So he was fired a few days ago. I'm forgetting when at this point because it's been a complete dumpster fire.
I think it was Monday, I believe. And we're recording 4 days
later. We're recording on Friday, yeah. So Ron Hextall gets fired completely out of the blue after a few devastating and just straight up embarrassing losses. Flyers sitting at the bottom of the Eastern Conference with already glaring problems happening before the season even began. So Ron Hextall gets fired by President Paul Holmgren. So, all right. Let's quickly look back at what Ron Hextall has done. He gets brought into the Philadelphia Flyers organization where Holmgren was the GM prior to him. Holmgren put the Flyers in cap hell. So Hextall comes in, and as he discussed mainly in his presser today, he had a 3-stage process where he was going to he was basically going to rebuild this team. First was to get everybody out of cap hell. He did that. The next was to have their young core, which has been the talk for a couple of years now. The Flyers have has one of the best farm systems in the NHL. I don't think there's any denying that still. And the third was to make and be ready to make deals and trades and signings when it came time for what Hextall called go time, basically to for a shot at the cup. Mm-hmm. Hextall, and as he said in his presser today, did not believe that they were at that stage 3 yet. Hextall was huge on development. That's why Carter Hart is not on the Flyers team right now, even though at this point, who even knows who's in net for the Flyers anymore, man? I mean, LA gets hurt, Noe Wirth gets hurt, Alex Lyon,
Stolars.
Yeah, Stolars. Picard got waived right after Hextall got fired.
Yep.
Jesus, man, it's 4 or 5 goalies within just a year, like just a season, and we're not even remotely halfway. So, all right. So Hextall believes in development, and this is where I stand firmly beside him. As much as I did say, yeah, I wanted Carter Hart up in the NHL. At the end of the day, I do need to take a step back and understand that you do not want to put him in the NHL that quick. And look what's happening to him on the Phantoms right now. He's being lit up pretty bad. His numbers will go back up. I have firm belief that Carter Hart's going to get back on his horse and he's going to be good. But it's good that he's ironing all this stuff out in the AHL and getting used to the pace of the game so that when it's time for him to get called up, he's going to be more than ready. That's what Hextall believed. Here's what happens. everybody got impatient, myself included. It's really hard to see his vision when it seems to be taking forever. Paul Holmgren decided that it was time to move on from Ron Hextall, so he got rid of Ron Hextall. Yeah, it was also in close consultation, which I'm forgetting his name, but it was with the owner of Comcast Spectacor, who also owns the Flyers. So this was not just a Paul Holmgren decision. Yeah. So he believed that there was philosophical differences was the word he kept using. When he addressed the media, he kept saying over and over and over and over again that him and Hextall was unyielding to any compromise within the organization. And that's kind of understandable because Hextall had a system that he wanted to implement, and he knew it was going to take a while, but he believed that patience was key. Mm-hmm. But how long is too long? And that's the question. That is the big question of the day. Because here's where we're at. Young core, really good farm system. We got, there's been talk of Simmons getting traded. Hextall has said that they were close to signing, big name players that are on the market. And the latest is that there's apparently interest in Nylander from Maple Leafs, who has been holding out. So that's something. And he said that trust me, I've been very aggressive, but he just hasn't been able to get any of the signings that he apparently was after. He didn't disclose what they could be. You can only assume, but it just never really came to be.
So I want to hop in real quick,
sure.
Like piggybacking off that, because when I first texted you, my first question was, do you think this has anything? Because in some eyes basically the guys that fired him saying that it was almost like he was a little bit passive. But you have to remember, and after I said that, I was kind of thinking, people tend to forget, and now you're hearing the speculation with the Nylander, the William Nylander not controversy, but what's happening, him holding out in Toronto, and he was, a potential target for the Flyers. You also got to remember that they took a swing at Tavares this summer, along with a lot of other teams. There was talk that they were targeting Artemi Panarin. His deal expires at the end of this year. It's not that he sat on it now. So I'm kind of on the fence about this, right? Because Hextall has done a phenomenal job with kind of restocking the cupboard, if you will, with prospects. You look at their prospects, going back from a few years ago, you got Konechny, they drafted Patrick. You got the defense with Hag and Morin and Ghost and Provorov and all these guys, and he did a really good job there, and Carter Hart, obviously, and he did a really good job with that, and there wasn't this move per se that he went out there and made, to make a big signing or something like that, but and maybe that's where the kind of differences came in at, where they kind of got rid of him, but he did a really amazing job. It's actually funny. I have somebody at work that I told him what happened. I said Hextall got fired, and he said, "Really?" And I was like, "Why you say it like that?" And he thought I said Hextall.
Yeah,
because that's what everybody was expecting. But no, I thought he did a really good job. I mean, like, I guess he was passive in the sense that he didn't make that big move, but he did a really good. He was one of the best drafters we've seen, I think. Like, in my opinion, like, I think he's done a really good job drafting and such. But yeah, I kind of wanted to add that in there because I guess that was a big thing with the guys above him. But yeah, it was crazy to me as well, as not a Flyers fan.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at was Hextall, which is kind of the center of attention in this whole thing. So Tyler mentioned that he texted me right after Hextall got fired, and he did, and he asked me a couple of questions, as a good reporter does. And he asked me specifically, as I'm reading the chat log here, you think that Hextall firing has anything to do with him being too passive? What I originally said was it has everything to do with him not firing Hextall. I was under the impression that a lot of people were under, was that Hextall and Hextall were, buddy-buddy, and they had the utmost trust in each other, and that Paul Holmgren called for the firing and Hextall wouldn't do it. I could not be more wrong. So Here's what I'm hearing. So let me make something clear. You can agree and disagree with Hextall's system all you want. I personally liked the idea of Hextall's system. However, it was getting frustrating. Something needed to happen. Some shakeup needed to happen to give a Flyers a kick in the ass to at least do something, right? Because this is getting ridiculous. In my opinion, this team is more than talented to make a really good playoff run. I don't know how anybody can sit there and disagree with me. We're getting the depth we needed. Our blue line, yes, still young, but still making the scoring chances. We play physical. I mean, it's amazing it took forever to get into a fight, but we're still making the hits. We're still playing, excuse the pun since it's now become one, but gritty. But his system makes sense. And if it means that we're going to have an insane couple of years in the long term, then I will eat that, eat those couple of years of these kind of seasons. But it's getting hard because there doesn't seem to be any changes happening. The Flyers had an uneventful offseason, except for JVR. So JVR gets signed, and you know what? I'm so happy he's here, and I cannot wait till he's healthy. It's just when did the patience wear too thin? So now, from a business standpoint, of course, someone being unwielding to the head honchos of an organization is going to get fired, right? That's where this makes business sense. But
right.
Does this make hockey team sense? Don't know yet. We're going to find out because here's what's going to happen. So I mentioned Hextall, right? Why was he not the first to go? So here's what's funny. 2 days after Hextall gets fired, Chris Pryor, assistant general manager, and assistant coach Gord Murphy were fired by Paul Holmgren. And the quote is in close consultation with Dave Hextall.
Yeah.
To which I say, you have got to be kidding me.
Well,
so,
I will say, I think that he might have even said it himself, but I think, Hextall has a couple of weeks here to figure it out, and if he doesn't, then he's gone. I think this is like he even said that. Yes
and no. He's not going to fire Hextall. He's not going to do it. He's going to make the GM do it. He said in the original presser about Hextall's firing that Hextall's fate lies on whoever the new GM is.
Right.
And
but that's what I'm saying. Like, if he doesn't give results, is that where the new GM comes in and is like, look, it isn't working. Like, I want my guy, kind of thing.
But here's the thing. What's the final straw with Hextall? That's my question. In Holmgren's eyes, what is it? That's what I don't get here. So you fire Hextall, the guy who is not on the bench, but the guy who's been making the moves, maybe not as many as we would like, but on the understanding now is he's been aggressive. But he, what he's done over the past 3 to 4 years with this team is incredible. So why do you take away Hextall and not Hextall, the guy behind the bench, where a team that has the talent? You cannot sit there and tell me we do not have the talent for a playoff run. Mm-hmm. Stanley Cup, we're probably missing a piece or two, especially on the goaltending side of things. But on the offensive and blue line, I drew sharp contrasts with the Golden Knights, and look where they were last season in their inaugural season. Seriously, we don't have any quote unquote superstars. I mean, Couturier looked like one last year, but
I don't know. I think Giroux is a top 10 player in the league.
Yeah, and he's the most but like anytime you say Giroux's a superstar, everyone's like, no. But then you actually look at him.
Yeah.
Like, he's the most underrated player. I swear.
Yeah. No, I would actually agree with that. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So, they don't have any superstar, but like in Golden Knights' case, I've always said, look, they did not have any superstars on the team besides their netminder.
Right.
I feel like Flyers get a good goaltender, there is a chance. I'm telling you, there is a chance. They just need to get, and also they need to fix the special teams. Which, why is Lappy still there? I don't know that one either. PK's been bad for a while. So, and then remember last season, I believe, where they lost 10 games in a row.
Yeah, it was last year, and then they won 10 in a row.
And then they won 10 in a row, and then all was forgotten. But really, what is the last straw with Hextall in his eyes? It doesn't make any sense.
And here's the other thing. I mean, this kind of sounds dumb, but there's not a better time to fire a coach in the NHL right now with who's out there.
And
No.
and before you say that, I'm getting to that because there is a link already, which is what I'm going to get to right now, if you don't mind. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So here's where we stand now. So Tyler mentioned a couple of the candidates, but he did not mention the front runner, who appears to be Chuck Fletcher, who was the former GM of the Minnesota Wild.
Right.
I'll say off the bat, I do not know that much about him. I just know that he was a former GM for the Minnesota Wild, which the Minnesota Wild they're like the Chiefs of the NHL. They're a team that's good, but can never get out of the first round, ever.
Yeah, I believe he got fired over the offseason, but he had been with them for a couple of years. Like, he was there for a pretty good amount of time.
So he was in. So the report is that he was in Philadelphia today as well for his interviews. So he's here, and he's the clear front runner. And it is possible by next Wednesday. So today is November 30th. So next Wednesday, which is December 5th, we might know who our new GM is. Mm-hmm. Now, originally in the original presser, Paul Holmgren said that we're looking at weeks, not months, for the new GM. That was his exact quote. Looks like we're getting it in a week or two. Which I don't know much about interview processes, but that seemed only like one freaking interview. I haven't heard anybody else actually come in yet. I mean, unless he is so glaringly good.
Right.
So now, here's where that is. So Chuck, let's now assume that Chuck Fletcher comes in. So Tyler mentioned who's out there. The big name on the list of coaches who are no longer on a team right now is Quenneville. Mm-hmm. Now, he has not. I've only been reading a couple social media posts. Haven't really followed up on this, but the idea is that he does not. At the moment, he doesn't have too much interest, or he's not actively searching for another coaching opportunity. What I'm taking for that is that it doesn't mean that if with the right money and the right contract, the right team, he would say yes. That's my way of thinking. So this is such a loose connection. I don't even want to say it, but the idea of Quenneville with Philadelphia is enough for me to like this. So apparently, something about that Fletcher got Quenneville one of his first coaching jobs. That's apparently the thing, and they're apparently still. I think that's what it is. I will need to look again. It might not be on any big article, but the let me see it. The Flyers need in the GM role and someone who's capable of securing a head coach like Joel Quenneville. So it's something about how I think he got him his first coaching job, and they're apparently still buddy.
Okay.
So it's so loose, but man, I don't know how you look at Dave Haxtell and Quenneville and you go, yeah, Dave Haxtell. No way. No freaking way. Quenneville, a Stanley Cup winning coach.
Multiple times.
And Dave Haxtell, who, for better or less, will not change on systems that are obviously not working for the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah.
So to me, I don't know. I don't want to comment on who I think the new GMs should be because I really don't know that much about all the candidates. I just know the basic headlines of them.
Right. No, and I'll finish up on this point, which is, you saying about the system with Haxtell. Back in about 2 weeks ago, I went to a Flyers game. And I was just a neutral there, like the Sharks weren't playing or anything. But I'm watching this game, and god damn, they won the game 4-0. They're playing the Blackhawks. Actually, this was right after Quenneville got fired. It was one of the most sloppiest games ever, and I'm watching this. The systems were all fucked up. Like the thing I kept saying, my uncle was with me. I kept saying to him is their breakout, the Flyers' breakout is terrible. Their wingers are too far up on the boards. Now, I'm very fortunate to watch a team who is very good at breakouts in the Sharks. And that's their one thing. Like, they have their forwards low so they can actually get it out of the zone. You got the Flyers who they get it behind their net, they flip it out, and the other team gets it. It was the most frustrating thing to watch, and they won that game. Yeah. So,
and that's the thing. So, you said
that's his whole MO.
Yeah. So you said, they said they won this game 4-0. You cannot tell me this team does not have the talent. Imagine guys like Travis Konechny, Ivan Provorov, Claude Giroux, Jake Voracek, Simmons, Lindblom, everybody on that team on a system developed by Quenville.
Yeah.
We're deadly.
Yeah.
I don't think what needs to happen after any hirings and whatever happens after this is the PK needs a freaking. The PK is the big thing.
It needs to be looked at, yeah.
we need a solid tendy, which it sounds like Elliot and Neuwirth are on the way back soon. So, we'll have that at least somewhat handled. I like Neuwirth a lot. Elliot, I've been very on the fence about. Mrazek, I swear he came into every game on something. I don't even know, man. I like my biggest thing was one time where they were right in front of the net and he came out of the crease to save a puck and he did like a twirl, like a ballerina twirl for literally no reason, and the puck went in the net. Like, I don't even remember what game it was.
Yeah.
I'll have to go find that. But
yeah, I think for the Flyers, like from a neutral perspective, I mean, goaltending is what drives the NHL. So I think they need to find a guy, and if Carter Hart's the guy, and they need to wait 2 years, and that's what they got to do.
That's fine.
But I think you got to change something. And I'm saying this, and you hear all the Flyers fans wanting change behind the bench, but I'm not going to say I analyze hockey because that's not the case. But I watch a lot of hockey, and the systems that the Flyers run sometimes just confuse me.
It's not. And there was one, I forget who it is, one Canadian reporter that was saying like that was defending this whole system. It's like, yeah, the Flyers are doing fine right now. We're last in the Eastern Conference. What are you saying?
Right.
It's like, what? Oh my God, it doesn't make any sense. And it's like I said, it's not like Ottawa, which a team I know is the butt end of all the jokes in the NHL just because of how mismanaged that franchise is, right? But that's not what this team is. This team is good. It's once they get the system working, fix their special teams, get a good tendy, work on the breakout, and actually shoot the goddamn puck on the power play. Let's talk about that one. We're a good team.
Yeah.
So I'll finish up with this because I know most of this was news reporting because there was a lot. And I know we try not to get too local with our news stories, but you know what? Screw you. This is big news in the NHL right now. So here's the thing. So here's where I stand. Here's where I personally stand. Hextall did a fantastic job, and I do wish he was still part of the organization. I know he has no other role with the Flyers organization right now, but if he was taking an ambassador role or something, would love to have him still be a part of the organization. I really like the guy, and I really cannot thank him enough for what he's done for this team. He's basically pulled the team out of what seemed to be a very, very dark tunnel and set us up for a very, very profitable future.
Yeah, I would agree.
With that said, I am still one of those people who thinks Hackstall is the one who deserves the knife here. It doesn't, to me, it's just not working. It just isn't anymore. And I know it's supposed to be this waiting and patience game for everything, but that doesn't just have to do with the players you have on the team. It's the plays they're making, the hockey IQ that they're developing, especially in the minors, the systems they're running on the ice, including the breakout and special teams. It's that stuff. If they could take a couple of years to perfect that as well as work on their own talents, it's going to be a good time for the Philadelphia Flyers. That's why I think a change needs to be made behind the bench. I think Hack needs to be gone. I would love for Quenville to come here. He's a reputable coach. He's on the market. I'm sure with the right call, the right money, he would say hello. If it's not Quenville, I honestly can say I don't know what another candidate could possibly be. And honestly, at the end of the day, it all comes down to if Chuck Fletcher's actually going to fire Hackstall or not. Because everything you read so far is all the fans want Hackstall gone, but apparently Hackstall has such this reputation within the Flyers organization and the National Hockey League that it's like he's irreplaceable. You would think it's someone even jokingly said he's got dirt on somebody, and you know that. So, to me, it's just not working. I don't like the Hackstall experiment anymore. I like the Flyers organization. I like the Flyers team. I like the players we have. I don't like who's behind the bench. Yeah. That even includes Lappy. I don't know how you keep consistently messing up Lappy has a special place in my heart as well for being a former Flyer, but how do you consistently mess up the PK unit? How do you consistently do this? Remember what the Ottawa guys said in the car about doing the same thing and not changing
about
anything.
Marty
This is
Raymond,
literally what that is.
Yep.
This is literally what that is, and it's like, oh yeah, we don't have a problem.
Yeah,
Man,
no, I agree with everything you kind of said, and I think we're all on the same wavelength. I do want to move on just because we kind of went on with that, but yeah, my kind of final conclusion. As a neutral, I don't think it was the right move. We'll see what happens and see who they bring in.
We play Pittsburgh on Saturday, baby. Can't wait to see us get murdered. And then go on break until next Thursday.
We move on to some college football news. Big one, and I want to get Brendy involved in this one because not that you are a Georgia Tech fan, but you have family ties. But Paul Johnson, coach of Georgia Tech, retiring. Well, I say retiring, stepping down as coach of Georgia Tech. And I say retiring, and I'll get to that in a second. But if it is a retiring, what a great career.
So it has been reported when I first got the notification for it, when I was reading about it, the words used was retired, which implied to me like he was not probably unlikely to coach within the next 5 years or so. Obviously,
Right.
I not sure if not quite sure if newer stuff has come out yet, but Georgia Tech has always been my second favorite college football team to watch. The first being Tennessee, mainly because I just like seeing Georgia lose. But Paul Johnson, widely known for his use of the triple option. Which looks amazing when it's like executed correctly, but looks flat out retarded when it doesn't work.
Yep.
And I think and I was talking to my stepdad about this, who's a diehard Georgia Tech fan, and I was listening to a couple other people as well. Reactions are a little bit mixed. I know some people are kind of glad he's gone, which also, like, the thing is, like, he's still under contract, and like he's been given like a pretty big contract for Georgia Tech standards. So we'll have to see about that. But I've heard a lot of mixed reactions. Some people saying like they're kind of glad he's gone. Most of the reactions I've heard have been it was kind of his time to go, but like what he's done for the program has been amazing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the initial reaction I've received. My stepdad was disappointed to see him go, period, because he thought they were going to have a really good season next season. He basically thought that the timing was really bad, which I kind of agree, but I also think like it wasn't too much longer for him no matter what happened this season. Not saying he would have gotten fired or anything like that, because quite honestly, like, no one had better job security than Paul Johnson of Georgia Tech. Like, people can say he was on the hot seat. He never was. I want to be completely honest.
So I just wanted to mention this real quick. So I was saying about the whole retiring thing. This is an article from ESPN's Chris Lowe, was published yesterday. The word he uses in here is apparently this is a quote from Johnson. After 40 years of coaching, it's time to take a break. So I don't know if that's a forever break or what, but I mean, he is 61 years old now, so we'll see.
It's always hard to tell what people that age actually mean when they say when they say certain things, but now the head coaching search begins for Georgia Tech, and I've actually heard a lot of interesting names. I've heard the head coach of Kennesaw State, which I probably would say is I would probably say is like at the top of the list for Georgia. Like, Georgia Tech has a very specific head coaching inquiry, which is like they have to run almost like a certain style. They have to be able to recruit the kind of people that they're looking for, which is essentially high IQ, heavy on schemes kind of things. Not necessarily, they're not going to hire the offensive coordinator of Alabama or something like that. Like, they have a very specific program on which they use to hire. One of the names I thought was actually intriguing, which I think would be a great hire, is the offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Chargers, and
Ken
I'm just
Wisenhunt.
and I'm looking a little bit more into Wisenhunt's background, and let's see if I'm correct, he was previously a head coach of the Arizona Cardinals,
Mm-hmm.
that went to the Super Bowl under Kurt Warner, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. He was their head coach from 2007 to 12, I think, or 13. I think it was 12.
Yeah, so if someone like him were to get the Georgia Tech head coaching job, I feel like that would almost signify kind of like a different kind of different way like the program is going.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a triple option coach, but it's a very interesting scenario because with Paul Johnson, if I remember correctly, what he came from, what was it? Georgia Southern, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. I'll look that up real quick, but I'm almost positive.
Yeah, he won. I think he won 2 FCS titles at Georgia Southern, and then he coached at Navy. And I've also heard some rumors about like Navy and Army coordinators, coming to Georgia Tech. Not entirely sure if that would be a good idea, but Paul Johnson definitely has quite the resume and he's received a lot of criticism from Georgia Tech fans, but at the end of the day, like, he's done a lot for the program, and everyone should be happy for what he's accomplished.
By the way, just to say, it was Georgia Southern. He was with them from 97 to 2001, and then went to the Navy, where he was previously an offensive coordinator. But yeah, I think this is I couldn't agree more. Actually, you said it perfectly with the whole job security thing.
Yep.
I'm reading this article. Basically, he was saying that he just wants to do more stuff with his family. His daughter, I believe, is a professional opera singer, so he wants to watch her and do stuff with his wife. So, it might be a thing where we see him come back. In my opinion, I think this might be it. But if it is, he did do great things for Tech. He is fourth all time in wins rankings active FBS coaches. He
That's
has
crazy.
189 career wins. Yeah, so
And I think Ken Wisenhunt, and I'm gonna look this up really quick just to be sure. I believe he actually went to college at Georgia Tech, which is why which is why he's rumored as a possibility.
Gotcha. Yes, he did. He did attend Georgia Tech. Wisenhunt.
And
So there you go.
according to Wikipedia, he actually doesn't really have college football head coaching experience except for at Vanderbilt, which was all the way back in '96.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
I mean, I guess
it would definitely be a transition.
Yeah, that's the concern. I mean, it's going back to what we were talking about before. I mean, that's where Hacksaw came from, was college hockey, and now he's in the professionals. Sometimes it doesn't always translate with pro and college sports, but we'll see. I mean, I like Wisenhunt a lot. He's doing really good stuff with the Chargers offense at the moment.
Right.
But yeah, I think I believe they said that Wisenhunt will interview this weekend. So I mean, I'm sure it's going to take a couple of weeks before we get an answer. But yeah, big news on that front, and that one hurts Georgia Tech a little bit, but we'll see how they can
Yeah,
kind
it
of
hurts
bounce
to see
back.
him. Hurts to see him go. Georgia Tech is probably going to be pretty bad for the next couple of years, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Before we move on, I do want to mention something that you mentioned to me earlier when we were talking, which, I obviously I thought of this, but when you really said it, like, it's very important. The thing about college coaching is, you're not only getting a coach, you're getting a recruiter as well. And, that's the whole thing with Wisenhunt. Like, I'm sure, he can recruit, but like not having the experience that, he would if he was a college coach before, that'll be interesting.
Right.
But yeah, it's we'll kind of see what happens there. We will move on to something we're going to touch on briefly. This story broke today, and we don't want to get too into it because not all the information has came out. Sorry, but it's kind of a must. We have to say something on it, or at least put ourselves out there with it. But essentially, it's a developing story at this point. But the running back of the Kansas City Chiefs, Kareem Hunt, there was a video released by TMZ, of course. I hate TMZ, but anyway, of all places, that released a video from February of Hunt in a Cleveland hotel, pushing and kicking a woman. And the video was posted. I believe it was sometime this afternoon, and about 20 minutes later, he was sent home from the Chiefs facility. Now this is this article I have right here is from Sports Illustrated, which they're a pretty reliable source. So I'm going to go off of this. Apparently, the woman he is arguing with is a 19-year-old girl. She's a Kent State student. And that's who he's involved with the altercation. Again, I'm not going to mention stuff in it because there's a lot of stuff coming out with what her involvement in this is and what he did. But we did just kind of want to report, if you will, that it is worth noting that nobody was arrested at the time and no charges were pressed, but there is a chance that he would be put on the commissioner's exempt list following the release of the video. So we'll kind of have to see his, where his season is going to go. I wanted, I guess. We don't. We'll talk about what this is going to do for the Chiefs, and not that we're going to look past the whole domestic violence portion of it, but we just don't want to talk about it if we don't have all the information. I think from a football standpoint, and I know it's hard to look at that when you have somebody who physically abused a woman, but this obviously hurts them. They're having a great season, and of course, because the internet's awful, the memes with Belichick, like people saying he released it because now, I still think
y'all are terrible.
Yeah, I know. Spencer Ware is a good backup, but Kareem Hunt's one of the best runners in the league. But if that happens, it's like here come the Patriots again. Like the AFC is theirs. So a lot of people are saying that, but I think from a football standpoint, this is obviously going to hurt them. But there's a lot more that needs. There's a lot more than football at this point.
I mean, to me, this doesn't hurt anything with Mahomes right now. I mean, he loses his backfield, but I don't think it's going to be as dramatic. Yep, exactly. Again, he's quarterback. Keeps saying he can hit a 9-year-old deep downfield. I mean, it doesn't matter.
It's I can't believe in our NFL preview I was like, I'm not sold on Mahomes.
Yep, I said the same thing. I wasn't ready for him.
To be fair, we've seen him like one time, but now he's an MVP candidate this year. But no, like I said, we just wanted to report on this. We're not going to go too deep into it because there's a lot of people putting their opinions out there and then people reporting it. So yeah, just kind of want to say stuff there, but people are awful, man. The things that that we've seen that I'm not gonna mention.
Yeah, no,
but
I would direct you to the Wikipedia page of Kareem Hunt between now and next week.
Yep, it's been protected now. By the way, just saying.
Is it protected? All right.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's terrible.
But we will move on from that. That quick mention to, I don't know. I don't want to say the most hype. Like when I say the most hype game of the year, that sounds bad, but Red Dead Redemption has been everything that everybody has expected it. And the online multiplayer dropped for everybody today. It dropped for the people who got the Ultimate Edition Tuesday. And then Wednesday and Thursday they had releases based on when you started playing the game, which I, side note, thought was interesting. Like if you played it on the release night, but then it gets the Ultimate Edition, you got it Wednesday. But if you didn't play the game within 3 days of release, you didn't get it till Thursday. Just as a side note, I thought that was interesting. But it is for everybody right now. Very excited. I have not got my hands on it yet. Me and Zach are the only one in the group that have the game. So hopefully me and him can play sometime. But yeah, the story, which I'm still working on, has been amazing. So I can see hopefully this will be the same. The Rockstar kind of put out I guess a memo about it, basically saying that players will be able to create. By the way, this article is from Polygon. Players will create and customize their online characters and tailor their abilities and their style to their style of play. There's things like being able to join a posse with up to 8 players, and in that you can go hunting and fishing, battle rival gangs, and do other thing with battling, stuff like that. So, I'm a little, if I'm not sure how to say this. So, as good as free roam games are, sometimes like the online multiplayer, like for me, sometimes doesn't click. Like GTA is good because there's so many things you can do. I hope there's missions in online that you can do with your friends. I'm sure there is, but I think that would be cool.
Join or form posses, battle enemy gangs, hunt, fish, and search for treasure, challenge other settlers, and much more in this brand new multiplayer story.
Right.
Coming from Rockstar themselves.
I would love to see what becomes of it.
Yeah, because I think there is somewhat of a story now. I'm assuming it's online, so you have to be able to play with friends. But like I subscribe to people on YouTube, and like I haven't watched the videos, but I've seen them saying like episode 1 of the online story. So I guess I don't know what in depth it is. Something that we will definitely check out, me and Zach, and kind of report later. But this game. Just a side note, this game has to be up for Game of the Year, I would imagine.
It's gotta be.
And like
it was, and guess what it lost to?
Oh, that's right, Fortnite.
Yep.
I forgot about this. That's right.
So it was up for Game of the Year. I'm trying to remember who put it up there. Let me find that real quick.
I forgot about that.
Keep talking. Let me here. No, yeah. I got it. Fortnite just won Game of the Year title in 2018 at the Golden Joystick World Awards, and it beat out Red Dead Redemption 2.
Huh. Yeah, you know what? After I said that,
what the fuck?
Yeah, after
really?
I said that, I forgot somebody at work had told me that. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I think that's just the case because the amount of people that play Fortnite, but Red Dead is to me a flawless game. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to play it as much as I would like with how busy I've been. But yeah, it's a great game, and can't wait to check out multiplayer. But yeah, a lot of the things I've heard so far is the same that I heard with the release of the game. It's good, it's flawless, online's really good. I didn't play a whole lot of online on Red Dead 1, so I don't really know what to expect per se, like if it's anything like that. But yeah, it's something we'll have to check out. So we will let you know about that. 'Cause like I said, I'm sure me and Zach will be playing somewhat soon. But next, the last quick pick we have, which I want to open up in a little bit of a bigger vein in a second, but I'll get to it. But Nintendo Switch set some sale records for Black Friday. Which I can't say surprises me. I think a lot of people, that have the Nintendo Switch love it, and people want to get their hands on it. But yeah, over the Thanksgiving and Cyber Monday kind of weekend, including Black Friday, they set some sale records. Overall, Nintendo sold $250 million worth of products during the holiday, according to sales figures, and this is from GameSpot. The article is from. Now, we talk about this because I want to get into a little bit of another, and I know this is somewhat over talked about, but the whole console battle thing, and we might be comparing apples and bananas here, or apples and oranges. But you got the PlayStation and the Xbox, who are always compared against each other, and I know that Nintendo Switch is a different animal, but in terms of selling and the way people like it, like you got to put it up there.
Right.
I've only heard good things about it. Like
Be-
I really have.
because the reason why people compare, Xbox and PlayStation and don't even like bring up, the other systems is because Xbox and PlayStation are, in my opinion, you guys can disagree, they're more or less catered to the hardcore gamer.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like hardcore, but like people who like game on a regular basis.
Yeah, I would agree.
And
Good.
well, hang on, I just want to say one last thing. But the Nintendo Switch though is catered to a completely different audience. They're
Right.
catered towards family.
Yeah.
Family play. And, if something is catered towards family, you're, as a mother or a father, you might be watching, a commercial for a Nintendo Switch. You'd be like, okay, that seems like something, we could all enjoy together. Because you see all these commercials of like, this family of four, all playing Mario Kart or something.
Yeah. Right.
Can I actually disagree with you on this one?
I mean, you don't have to ask my permission.
So I actually think you have it backwards. And here's why. So here's the difference. So the Xbox and the PlayStation have been competing for years because they both have the same mission. Their mission is to be the center of all entertainment in any particular household, right? So the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, besides being good game systems, and I'm not going to sit here and compare the two because the Xbox is obviously supreme. So, but the reason why they're compared so much is they both have the same mission, and they're trying to be the big entertainment and gaming console, and they have their own exclusives and everything else. Right now, even the casual gamer will get these systems. Right, at least in my eyes. Right, so the casual gamer, let's think, like what are some games the casual gamer will play? Probably Call of Duty. Right, I would say Call of Duty, 2K, any of the sports games. GTA, Red Dead, those type of games. Those are the type of games that a casual gamer will play. Mm-hmm. I think Nintendo has more of the market for the serious gamer because Nintendo's not even trying to be the center of entertainment. Like, look, here's our system, here's our games, have at it. Like they have their own world, right? So they have the world of Mario and Luigi, the whole Nintendo world, everything like that. The Pokemon and the releases they're getting on the Nintendo systems. Mm-hmm. and such, and not to mention it's also a completely different system. This isn't a box sitting on your entertainment center. It's a freaking tablet for all intents and purposes with two joysticks that come off. That's but it can just so happen to be plugged into a TV. I would say any casual gamer that goes into a store and has to pick between those three consoles is going to pick either the Xbox or PlayStation over the Nintendo. And yeah, you're right in a sense that Nintendo is obviously meant for the more family-friendly gamer, and you're right in that department. Most of the little kids are probably asking for a Nintendo so they can play Mario Kart and Mario Party and everything like that. You're right on that front. I just definitely think that the more serious gamers will go for Nintendo because it's just the pure universe that they have and the uniqueness of each of their systems.
Well, see, I'm not entirely sure about that because I very rarely, and I would say more recently you would be correct with the Nintendo Switch. I feel like the Nintendo Switch has been more or less catered to the more serious gamer. But I feel like in the past, especially like with the Nintendo Wii, the Nintendo Switch, past Nintendo consoles have always been catering to this, different audience. With the Nintendo Switch though, I feel like I've almost tried something new, and it's good to see, at very least it seems to be working out for them.
Right. Well, I guess I should reword what I'm saying. So Nintendo, yes, they're marketing for the every person. Yeah, rated E for everyone games. Their biggest games being rated E and family friendly and something you could play with the whole family. However, the people you hear talking about it the most are the more serious gamers. The casual gamer will talk about the newest Call of Duty, the newest EA game, the newest Red Dead, GTA, et cetera, on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox games, or even, well, I wouldn't say PC. I think PC is definitely catered for the more serious gamer. But I feel like a casual gamer will talk about the Xbox and PlayStation games over the Nintendo games. You'll hear the more serious gamers, like I follow a lot of gaming and entertainment personalities on Twitter, and they're talking about the Switch over anything else, at least the way I see it. But you are right that Nintendo is marketing for the everyday person.
So I have a question for you, and this might sound a little weird. Do you believe that there are more hardcore gamers than casual gamers? I would say there is.
It depends.
Because
depends. Well, you have to define because what's your definition? Here's what I'm going to say though. I think the definition of casual gamer is changing.
Okay, so here's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like casual gamers, though, you're saying hardcore gamers would be more interested in a Nintendo Switch, right?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay, so I would argue though that I would argue it's the other way. I would say casuals would be more inclined to Nintendo Switch because, first of all, the console itself is cheaper and the games are cheaper. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons because, you know, I don't really think someone who buys a Nintendo Switch is gonna want to spend $60 on GTA, $60 on Call of Duty, and $60 on Red Dead every single year, or not every year, but over a small period of time. But you know, with the Nintendo Switch, you know, they have all of these, you know, $20 to $40 games. You know, very rarely do you see a $60 game on the Nintendo Switch.
I think you're missing a big point, though. I think you're missing how the landscape and culture of gaming has changed over the past couple of years. I mean, I hate bringing this game up so much just because of how popular it has become, and I'm not against popular things. It's just it's obviously over talked about. But look what Fortnite has did recently. You know, Fortnite comes out and basically it by itself seems to integrate gaming into regular pop culture. Like you see Ninja streaming with guys like Drake and Juju Smith-Schuster, for God's sake. And I think the term casual gamer is upgrading, if you will. So I define now a casual gamer who, you know, the casual gamer probably plays every day. It's just that type now. I would say the casual gamer plays a video game every day, but not for as long. I would argue that the hardcore gamers are the guys who sit down and who will play for hours and hours on end, have the longer sessions than a casual gamer. A casual gamer might get on and play, you know, a couple hours of NBA or NHL or Call of Duty or something, you know, not really be working for any of the big, like, you know, long-term goals, like, you know, trying to get the 10th prestige or anything like that, but they're probably playing every day. The hardcore gamers are the guys going in and playing these long sessions each day. And you're like, oh, I want to get to 9th prestige by the end of the night, or I want to get this skin by the end of the night.
So I will say this, and I will agree with you in this one aspect that hasn't really been touched on. I feel like another thing that is kind of ending the whole console, casual gamers play this console, hardcore gamers play that console. I feel like something that is kind of tying up the loose ends is the whole cross-platform thing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like that, in another way, is kind of why the whole definition in itself is changing.
And there's work to be done. So I'm not gonna pretend to know everything about the Nintendo Switch. All I remember is that, like, so there were games that came out for all systems, including Nintendo. One of the bigger ones was the WWE games. Now, those games are buggy as it is, but it was last year or the year before where WWE released their newest game, and it was good on the One, good on the PS4. I think it was out for PC as well. It was fine on the PC, but oh my God, the Wii U port was terrible. I don't know if you guys ever if you can go look up video on YouTube of the Wii U port for that game. Dude, if you want to talk frames per second, you're maybe getting 10. I can't make this up. So from my understanding, the Wii U port was terrible. So Now, again, I don't know anything about the Switch. From my understanding, since it's just a tablet, I don't want to say just a tablet. There's a lot more technology in there that I know nothing about. But from a logical standpoint, it seems to me that they can run games like Mario Party. They can run games like Mario Kart, which they look beautiful, but they're not the most hardcore graphics out on the market. The games you see that are popular on Xbox, PlayStation 4, like look at Red Dead. Look how their goal was to be as real as possible. You don't see those type of games on the Switch. So true full cross-platform is not going to happen for a while until maybe Nintendo wants to do those those cross-platform things. I know there was a joke when PS4 was originally against the whole cross-platform Fortnite thing. The Xbox and Nintendo were tweeting at each other asking to play some rounds on Fortnite together. Mm-hmm. So obviously it's there, and it's obviously working well for a game like that. But think of how Fortnite is. That's not really a graphically heavy game. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's not a game that's subjected to let's make the most realistic looking video game on the market. So you're right about that. And the console wars has been more or less ended, especially since PC gamers rose up out of the ashes.
Right.
So let's use a example that you and me know very well, Brendy. Like, so you and me, we go way back. We started in a Call of Duty clan together years ago, and think of how low tier and not on like player skill. You had some of the best players on YouTube at the time, but think of how low tier in terms of viewership the PC Call of Duty players were compared to the guys on Xbox and PlayStation.
Whenever you saw a Call of Duty YouTuber on PC, it was literally like finding like finding a hidden gem almost.
Yeah, and it's not to say it was ever bad.
Right, but it's just like it was kind of weird because kind of the mindset I had back then was like, okay, look, you have this nice computer that can run any video game, and you're choosing to play Black Ops 1. Like, right. That was just kind of what I was thinking back then. But like, one of the things I thought was interesting, like, and you touched on this, like, it was never a common theme to ever see a PC gamer. That's back in the Call of Duty clan that we had, it was always difficult to recruit PC players. Always.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
There was maybe there was never a point in that clan where I felt like I was in a comfortable enough position to be like, okay, I can put a montage out, twice a month or once every other week or something like that.
Right.
It was never like that.
Just to preface real quick, I want to give some context to Brendy and his statements. He was a PC leader. Like, he was the leader for the PC division of a certain clan, Call of Duty clan that was on YouTube years ago. So he was the one in charge of trying to recruit, when sniping montages were the shit, getting PC members to, come aboard the team. And that a lot of his members were international players. The American or even Canadian or European players would always be, mostly Xbox or PlayStation based. So it was just always interesting.
I'm trying to think, like, I'm pretty sure, like, I did not have a single American PC player. I do not think.
That's insane. That's how I saw
it. Most were European.
No, I just wanted to say we actually have some breaking news into the podcast. Kareem Hunt has been placed on the commissioner's exempt list.
Oh,
so he is unable to practice or obviously play until everything basically gets looked at. I'm reading through an ESPN article now. I'm just making sure I won't miss.
You know what? It's the right call right now.
I think so.
It's only whatever gets looked into. I'm not gonna swing one way or the other. I do not know everything. Let's this.
So
this is the right move.
For anybody who kind of doesn't know what this is, basically just he can't practice, play, or attend games until the investigation is over, and then they make a decision on what they're going to do. But it does not count against the 53-man roster, so essentially they can sign somebody if they wanted to right now. Okay. But basically, he will remain on this list until they conduct the investigation. In my opinion, he's probably done for the year, including playoffs. But yeah, this looks like what they're going to do. Like I said, I'm just reading through The league said that it would begin immediately, the investigation immediately. I'm sorry, I'm just reading. We'll include a review of the new information that was made. But okay, so they're just saying about what was released today. So like I said, Kareem Hunt basically, done until we find out more information and they make a decision. Sorry to cut you guys off, but yeah, that was what we were talking about. So I did want to mention that, and that's obviously big news.
It's good that you got that out.
Yeah,
Brendy, is that real? The picture you just sent?
Yeah, that is 100% real. That is the picture on the right is the Call of Duty Black Ops 1 campaign on the Wii.
Which, by the way,
holy crap!
By the way, I just want to mention something about Black Ops 1. So there was one day I was in a really strange mood, and I wanted to watch the Black Ops 1 campaign. I did not want to play. I don't have the game anymore, but I didn't want to play it. But that campaign was so goddamn good. That story mode was so goddamn good. I found somebody who played through the entire campaign with no commentary, as if it was like a movie. Like, It was actually nuts, and I was watching that. This was like over the summer.
Hot take. You can think this is a hot take or not. Black Ops 1 best Call of Duty campaign.
Ooh. Well, I mean,
he was on the button before he even thought about it.
Well, I'll say it is a hot take, but I'm agreeing with you on this one.
Ooh.
By a mile and a half. I honestly cannot think of a more memorable campaign about Black Ops 1. There was only one or two. Modern Warfare 2.
Oh, what's
missions?
I'm sorry, that's what I was going to ask. Did you say the Black Ops or COD in general? It's the best one.
Out of
no, I'm saying Black Ops 1 is the best Call of Duty campaign.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to clarify. Like, I thought you meant like over 2 and 3 as well. I was like, that's obvious, but yeah.
2 was Black Ops 2. I don't even remember doing anything. I know I beat it. I just don't
Black Ops 2 was pretty good.
It was okay, and then Modern Warfare 2 was an okay story with very good levels. Like no Russian, and even when spoiler alert, even though you are so late if you don't know what happened in this campaign,
10 years ago,
when Shepard with the Shepard betrayal, when he
Mommy thinks we're getting me Modern Warfare 2, but I just want to watch this podcast really first, okay?
Yeah, with Ghost and all. Now, like, I mean, I'm not even gonna say anything on that because I think it's probably is Black Ops 1, but you know my bias with MW too. So.
Oh yeah, but Black Ops 1 I think had by a mile and a half the best campaign out of all the CODs so far.
And really quick before we move on, I just want to say I felt like Call of Duty Ghosts actually had a pretty good campaign.
It did. Riley was a motherfucking beast, dude.
Yep.
Riley, I didn't like that game.
I hated that multiplayer, but the campaign was actually good.
I hated the multiplayer. Man, I cannot believe we have a friend who I don't know if what's his name mentioned, so I mentioned him. Who me and Brendy have known for a long time across seas, who found a newfound love for the game after Advanced Warfare came out, and I will never understand why.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. Yep.
Nope.
He was obsessed.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And he was going for clips, and I was just like, why am I?
He was as obsessed with that game as like I was as for Imagine Dragons back in the day.
It was ridiculous, but I know we kind of got into a different conversation with the Switch, but it is definitely impressive. What I really like about Nintendo is they're not like, it's like, oh, let's make the newest black box that sits on your entertainment center. Let's make something that's cool. And the Nintendo Switch, I think, is the answer between home gaming and mobile gaming. You see people bringing them on planes and other forms of transportation all the damn time. You can move that stuff and you can continue playing Super Mario Party or Super Smash or Pokemon or whatever on the go. It's kind of ridiculous, and I hate mobile games. They drive me crazy. But they came up with a concept and it went off, and deservedly so. And the Mario games are, I've always, saying recycling the same thing over and over again is a bad thing. Nintendo, it doesn't exist. It straight up does not exist. They can make Mario Party and Mario Kart till the end of time, and it won't get bad ever. It just won't. It just straight up won't. And that's part of what a part of gaming that sometimes gets missing is the
the memories you have. I'm sure you can have playing memories from Mario Kart over memories you may have from trying to grind Call of Duty. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
just it's so easy to just plug in 4 controllers into Wii and play Mario Kart, and you're all screaming at each other. It's a good ass time. It's something that sometimes goes missing from Xbox and PlayStation World games. So yeah, it's just, and Nintendo's interesting. I really like the constant innovation. Oh, also, they want to mention something real quick about them, just real quick. Remember a couple years ago, there was Nintendo came out basically against online content with their games. I don't know if anybody remembers this or not. So they had a problem with people making monetizing content that featured Nintendo's content. Well, they actually released last week a new set of rules in terms of how to monetize their content, and God, they are so free, it's ridiculous. It's basically do whatever the hell you want except post just the gameplay. Like, don't do that. Otherwise, we don't have a problem. So, just want to mention that.
We kind of went off the tangent there, but we kind of got interrupted by the news with Cream Hunt, but we're gonna go to our big topics now, and the first one is now that the conference championship games are set. Some are going on right now as we speak, actually, for college football. We wanted to kind of touch on them, preview them, kind of give our take. Also, if you guys want to do this real quick, I don't know, Bobby, you might have it. I don't know if Brendy does, but I went back and found my predictions from the beginning of the season of who would be in these games. Okay, I didn't think you wrote them down. I have mine, though. So I kind of just wanted to compare with what we have now. But we're going to go through the Power 5 as we did back in August. The first game, which is
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. Yeah. So this is the one we did our preview?
Yeah, it's the second episode. I had mine in my notes of things.
Should have mine. Okay, just want to make sure because I can look through my stuff here.
Damn, I don't think I have mine.
Yeah, I don't think you had wrote them down, but I wanted to go back and see if I could find them real quick, and I did because I wanted to see how they add up. But the first game, like I said, we're gonna get through the Power 5 here. The first game that is currently going on right now, it's in the first quarter, is the Pac-12 championship game between Washington and Utah. I think we all had Washington going there. Now they had kind of a I won't say I would say disappointing season, actually, for their standards. They had aspirations of getting to the college football playoffs.
And I don't really know if it was that disappointing though.
No, I'm on the fence about it, and I would only say disappointing if just because like they were a team that a lot of people said that could be in the college football playoffs. You had what was it, week 1 or 2? They lost to Auburn, and that was that was kind of the one that hurt them because they were like, if they can win that game, you kind of deal with your conference games and go from there. I'm looking at so they lost to Auburn week 1. Their other losses is Oregon, who were 17th at the time, and
California.
So kind of take it. I mean, they did beat Washington State last week, so I mean that's a big one. But right now they're 11th in the polls. They're playing Utah, like I said, as we speak, who's ranked 17th. Who looking back at my predictions, I had USC in, but I remember making this prediction and being like, I know it's going to be Washington versus somebody. I don't know who that other team is. I think I was between USC and Utah and picked the wrong team. So,
do you have what my predictions were? Because I have no idea.
But for some reason, and I don't know why I have a memory like this. For some reason, I want to say you picked Utah. Don't quote me on that. But
I mean, I would like to, but I just like being right.
Because I remember.
We know.
The only reason I say that is because.
All right, Bobby.
I had picked USC, and you're like, why did you pick them? I was like, there's not really another team I like, and I think the team you had said after me was Utah, who had a really,
No, I feel like you're. I feel like you're right. I feel like you're right about Utah. I don't know about Washington though. I remember with Utah, I was specifically like, look, Utah has had, the past couple of seasons have been very good for them. I feel like this is their year.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously it wasn't their year, but they did get to a conference championship game.
Yeah, I mean they had a good year. I'm looking at their schedule. They went 9-3. They had a loss to Washington in week 3. And then they had a loss to Arizona State, which hurts, and
They had
Washington State.
a pretty easy schedule. Like they quite honestly could their record could be, 1 or 2 wins better, I
mean,
would say.
you look at their losses though. It was against Washington, who was ranked 10 at the time, and Washington State, who wasn't ranked at the time, but now they're like 8, I think.
Yeah.
So,
but then Arizona State, that's just like, okay, can't lose
that. That one hurts.
Yep.
But no, I think they had a pretty good year, 9-3. Like I said, this game is currently being played. Jake Browning still doing his thing. Miles Gaskin, I had high expectations for Gaskin. I mean, he's had an okay year, but
Yeah, since that game's kind of going on right now, we're probably gonna have to skip our predictions for that one, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean it is 0-0, but that's that's fine. We can kind of skip over that. The next one on the slate is a big one. I mean, they're all big, but this one has implications with the college football playoff. It's the Big 12 championship game where nobody plays defense in that conference.
Yep.
It's Oklahoma, who we all expected to be here. I'm pretty sure they're ranked 5th in the nation right now at 11-1, 8-1 in Big 12 play, versus number 14 Texas, 9-3 on the year. Kyler Murray doing his thing. One thing I do want to mention, I was going to add this as a quick pick, but I can actually add it now, is that there's a story out there that Kyler Murray is going to go with baseball over football. He was drafted last year by the Athletics in the first round, and that is still his aspiration. So looks like after this year, his football career looks like it might be over, but man, he can be my quarterback anytime. So yeah, they've had an insane year. That game is tomorrow. The line on that game is -7.5 Oklahoma. I thought that'd be a little bit more. The crazy thing though is the over/under, which I always like looking at for Big 12 games. The over/under is 78 points.
I'm taking the over.
Yeah, which you're looking at, 40 points per team, which I feel like is very easy to hit.
Yep.
And I want to see. I know I had Oklahoma. Let's see, Big 12. I had Oklahoma versus TCU. I know you definitely had TCU because you were very high on TCU.
I was high on TCU. I had I had I had Oklahoma and TCU, right? I think.
and you had TCU in the college football playoff, I believe.
Yeah, I had them ranked 3 or 4. I remember that. Man, TCU, why you got to disappoint me like that, man? But I don't know. Maybe they'll be back next year. But I don't know. So with Texas, I've never been really sold on Texas because I think Texas is just a completely overrated program. Every fucking year. All right, but anyway, they definitely have shown that they can play with the big boys. They've defeated USC. They defeated TCU when they were ranked at the time. Not sure what that means now.
By the way, just to note, the only Oklahoma loss this year was to Texas.
Right.
So.
Oklahoma was ranked 7 at the time. Now they're ranked 5.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be a rematch at Arlington. So we'll see how that goes. And then they also beat Iowa State. So Texas is definitely kind of silenced the haters, I guess. I really don't like saying that. But they've definitely done well. And with Oklahoma, man, these teams though, like they're matched up against each other really well.
Yeah, and I gotta say, this is crazy to me. The lowest scoring, the lowest score that the Oklahoma has this year is 28. And the rest of the score, the points you're looking at, they put up 63 in week 1, 49 in week 2, 37, 66, 40, 45, 52. It's crazy, man. It's like what? And there's no defense played.
They're literally like just putting like orange cones out for defense.
But here's the thing with Oklahoma being where they are, like they're one depending on the result of the Alabama Georgia game, which we would get to in a little bit, they could sneak in because they're the first team that's looking out that wants to be in. all their games are like somewhat close. No, not all of them, obviously, but like even like they played like Oklahoma State, they only won by 1. They played Texas Tech, only won by 5. They played Army, only won by 7. Like they do have some weird scores on their record. I mean, obviously they're 11-1, so at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Just worth noting. I just yeah, if I'm a quarterback at a high school, I know what division I'm going or conference I'm going to rather.
Oh yeah, for
it's
sure.
crazy.
Number 1 pick.
Kyler Murray though, 37 TDs on the year, a little over 3,500 yards. Crazy.
Yep. Hopefully baseball works out for him too.
I know. I was gonna say. I mean, he would be a top pick in the top quarterback pick at least if that wasn't the case. But
yeah.
If I had
good for him though.
If I had a prediction in this game, I do see Oklahoma showing up. And because they have a lot to fight for. Like I said, if they win, they're depending on the result of the other games. They could be in that college football playoff. Do I believe they should be in? Man, it really, like I said, is going to depend on that Georgia game tomorrow.
Yeah. So really quick before you say anything else, I just want to give my prediction really quick. I would definitely have Oklahoma winning this. I have them. I would probably have them getting 50 or more points, but still losing by like 3. Because just because like you said, the Big 12, the conference of no defense.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I would have Oklahoma winning. I feel like they're just overall the better team. I feel like the Texas team. I feel like both teams are a little bit different now compared to where they were on October 6th. So we'll see. We'll see if it's a revenge game or if it just turns out to be Texas as the better team. But I'll have Oklahoma winning by probably by a field goal.
I could see that game ending like 59-54 or something like that. Like that's a very definitely. All right, we move on to the big one. Number 1 Alabama versus number 4 Georgia in the SEC championship game. So much on the line here because Alabama's 12-0. They're talked about. They're the number 1 team, of course. It's Alabama. You think of college football, think of it about Alabama. However, there's like, and I think it's I don't want to say a stigma, but there's a belief out there that if they lose this game, not that they would be necessarily in trouble to get knocked out, but you could consider knocking them out of the college football playoffs just because of the schedule they've had this year. It's kind of always a knock on them. You look at their games. They played Louisville, Arkansas State, Ole Miss. I don't even know what even college is this?
What?
Louisiana Raging Cajuns. Like, who the fuck are these teams? The Citadel, like,
Okay, I will admit though, like that Citadel game, like ended up being kind of intriguing.
I know because of the halftime score, but still, like, who are you? Like these teams that they're playing.
I remember, I wasn't watching the game because I was like getting ready for work, but like before I left for work, I saw the Citadel was trending worldwide. And I was like, what the hell is the Citadel trending worldwide?
Yeah.
Click on it, and it's like Citadel, Alabama tied 14-14 at halftime. I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna happen. And then Alabama came to play the second half.
And then the final score ended up being 14-14 at half. The final score was 50-17.
So really quick, you touched on Alabama's schedule really quick. I want to say them getting knocked out of the college football playoff with a loss, I feel like that would only happen if Georgia won in a blowout, which I don't think is going to happen.
No.
I feel like if it's a 1 or 2 possession game, Alabama's still going to stay in. And the reason I'm saying that is because I actually don't think they haven't had a hard schedule, but I don't feel like they have just an overall easy schedule because I'm looking at the ranked teams that they've defeated. They've defeated number 22 Texas A&M by 18 points. 22 points. And they defeated number 4 LSU in a shutout, 29-0. Number 18 Mississippi State 24-0 in a shutout. If I think the community should be ashamed of themselves if they let a one-loss Alabama that loses to Georgia by like 1 or 2 possessions. If they knock them out of the college football playoff, they should be ashamed.
No, I agree. I only bring that up because a lot of people were. I don't know if it was more them stirring the pot or not, but yeah, I think that actually I don't even know. I have LSU being ranked 3 here in that game. It doesn't matter either way, 3 or 4. You have they won by 29 and shut it out, and then the following week to shut out another ranked team is pretty impressive. So I believe. Actually, I'm not sure because I want to say we all had Georgia versus Alabama, but now I'm trying to think. Did you have? You might have had South Carolina. No, I'm sorry.
I may have had
I think you
someone
did.
different in the.
I think you had South Carolina.
I think you're correct. I think I had Alabama and South Carolina.
Right. I can't remember. Like I'm literally kind of thinking off the top of my
South
head.
Carolina, another team I was kind of high on, coming off of the Outback Bowl.
Yeah, and then that. I mean, they had a kind of a rough year.
Which, quite honestly, like I feel like I should have seen that coming because they lost a lot of defensive players. Graduation and some transfers as well. So that was kind of my fault for not doing enough research.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, at least I got Alabama.
Yeah, I wanted to look at the game line for that too. I mean, the game line for that is -12.5 Alabama. I don't know. Georgia's ranked 4. The games I've seen them, like they look okay. I should say they look good, but there's some things that I don't like about Georgia. Like I think that hold them back. I don't know. I always like looking at the game lines. Speaking of game lines to be looking at, our next game, the ACC championship game, you got Clemson, number 2, also 12-0, versus Pittsburgh. Now Pittsburgh went 7-5. I'm sorry, 6-2 in the ACC. Went 7-5 overall. And look, I know Pittsburgh is unranked and it's Clemson, but it's just so astonishing to me that in a conference championship game, Clemson is a 27.5-point favorite.
Yep.
I don't know what
over under 53 points.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's just weird to me. I don't know why, but like it just is. I guess I don't want to say the big story, but something that I had mentioned at the beginning of the year that that happened and we really didn't touch on again was that Trevor Lawrence, Clemson's QB, came in after Kelly Bryant. What did he get hurt? Or I can't remember if he got hurt or it was bad play.
Not
but
sure.
Trevor Lawrence came in, kind of stole the job, and I remember actually having my notes here saying, Trevor Lawrence is probably the number one of the top QBs. When he does go to the draft, he's going to be one of the top QBs, I think. And
right.
He did come in and win the QB battle. So that was interesting.
Right. And really quick, I just want to touch up on Pittsburgh really quick. So they have beaten a couple or like a handful of decent opponents this season. They beat a number 23 Virginia at the time, not too long ago. And they also beat, in my opinion, is a very underrated Syracuse team.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they're very underrated.
So look, these are championship games, so anything could happen. I think it's safe to say, I think it's almost a lock. Like this is probably the safest of the picks for the championship games for Clemson to win.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, anything could happen in these championship games, and this could all be part of a upcoming nightmare scenario for the college football playoff if Clemson ends up losing to Pittsburgh.
That would raise a lot of hell. By the way, I have to mention this. So the team that I had facing Clemson in my predictions was Miami. What the fuck happened to Miami this year, man?
I don't know.
like everybody's like, "Oh, Miami's back. Miami's back." First week of the season, they lose LSU, so that's whatever.
Can't remember who I had. I think I had Virginia Tech.
I think you did too. I'm like,
I'm shooting myself in the foot for not going back and like looking at
Yeah.
my predictions.
that's
but
why I had wrote them down just because I wanted to see if it was interesting. Like I thought it was interesting, but like, so this is Miami's kind of how I just need to touch on this because I think it's very interesting. So the first week of the season, they lose to LSU. Then they have 4 very easy games that they win pretty handily. Then they had the FSU game, which they won, which FSU, that's another team that, holy shit, what the fuck happened to them?
Yep.
And then you had 4 straight losses to Virginia, Boston College, Duke, and Georgia Tech. And that was just kind of that just sunk them.
Yep.
And I was very high on them. Not, I shouldn't say very high on them. I thought that they would be. I thought that they would come out of the Coastal. They didn't. They had a very disappointing season. And credit to Pittsburgh. I think they, they had a decent year. I'm looking at their results. Almost upset Notre Dame at the time. And a couple weeks ago, they did lose to Miami last week, actually. But they have some wins. You got over Virginia Tech, Duke. So I think I think you kind of summed it up perfectly. This should be out of all the championship games, this is the one that should not be hard to predict. We we all definitely have Clemson. Holy shit! Kareem Hunt
What?
just got released.
Yo, what?
What?
I'm not kidding. He just
Where?
got released.
Yeah, he did.
What's your source?
Ian Rappaport.
Of ESPN. Well, I got it from ESPN.
Here, I just retweeted it.
He got holy shit! What the fuck just happened today?
Wow.
Okay. Huh. We
this-
almost didn't report on this today, by the way.
We didn't, and I'm so glad that you told us to report on this.
Every once in a while, I'm right.
It happens, few and
All
far
right, now
between.
see here now, Bobby.
All right, so hold on. I don't want to be right about this. All right, hold on a second. So this means it's gonna be bad.
Like,
Yeah.
it might be like career over, kind of bad.
Okay, so Jesus Christ. All right, let's you know what? Let's do this. I'm making a producer's call here. Let's finish the you guys finish the I know I haven't said much. The college football preview. You guys know what you're doing. Let's finish this up. Let's wrap that up, and then I will keep an eye on this Kareem Hunt thing, and maybe we'll make a couple more notes. Okay.
All we have left to talk about is the Big Ten anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
I kind of want to see. What I want you to do for me is I want to see the reaction on Twitter from everybody. That's because
Yeah, just stick with that while we're talking.
Yeah, we'll do.
I only say that because it just escalated. Like, it was only you're talking like 8 hours ago. This video came out, and where we are now, crazy.
Wow.
Look at what I tagged you in.
Christ Almighty, that's crazy.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. So.
Oh. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. We're still live. So keep going.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
All right.
we're gonna finish up with the Big Ten. That's crazy though. The Big Ten championship, which unfortunately does not involve my Michigan Wolverines, me and Bobby's Michigan Wolverines, after the beatdown that I don't want to talk about that happened last week. They faced Northwestern. I actually had Ohio State being in this game.
Yeah, I had Ohio State too. And the Western Division, I think I had Wisconsin.
I did, which I think we all had Wisconsin. Wisconsin had a.
Oh my fucking God, Wisconsin!
You talk about
they were ranked 4 at the beginning of the season. What happened?
I know, again, I don't want to, I feel like I'm saying this for all the teams, but you got teams that have just really disappointed this year. Either way, again, this has some big implications on the college football playoff. If Ohio State wins this game, which they should, and you kind of have to watch the results of the other games. Do they get in? They're going to need some help. There's no doubt about that. They're going to have to win their game probably by a lot and get some results from the other games. But my God, Dwayne Haskins the year that he's having, he carved up Michigan's defense last week. He's got 4,000 yards, 42 TDs on the season. Incredible year. J.K. Dobbins having a pretty good year as well. Probably will hit 1,000 yards on the season after this game and 8 TDs. And Paris Campbell, a guy who just fucking lit up Michigan last week as a receiver, 72 receptions and 903 yards with 11 TDs on the year. You know what? I think we both see this game going one way. I do want to give a shout out though to Northwestern. They had a really good year conference wise.
Yep.
They actually went. All their 8 wins were from conference, which was kind of crazy. So they
only have one conference loss.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Who was that against? So it was against Michigan, right?
Yeah, against Michigan, who we barely beat them. We only won by 3 points.
Yeah.
So, and then their other loss, well, they lost to Notre Dame. They lost to Akron. That one hurts. And Duke. But they took care of business in conference, and that's what matters. And they, leaped over Wisconsin, who not even leaped. Like Wisconsin finished the conference 5-4, and then you have Northwestern at 8-1, so it wasn't even close. But yeah, I think this game goes one way, but I just Northwestern had a really good year in conference, and they deserve some recognition.
So just as the NFL weekly preview show does on Fox, I'm gonna have my upset of the week. I'm gonna say that Northwestern takes the cake on this one, and my reasoning behind this is that they are. Yep, I know it's a hot take. My reasoning behind this is the fact that I feel like Northwestern is in a very good spot for how they're playing right now. So, and again, this has more to do with Northwestern than it does with like me degrading Ohio State. Ohio State, them defeating Michigan, like blowing them out, I felt like was huge.
Mm-hmm.
But with Northwestern, and again, like I said, it is a championship game. Anything could happen. So I'm gonna go with Northwestern for this one, which is gonna add on to the nightmare scenario.
So me being a Michigan fan, I hate Ohio State. They're obviously I hate them so much. They're my least favorite team in the country, and I hate them. However, I gotta say this. So they were. I don't even know what their ranking was at the beginning of the season, but I know they were top 5. I want to say they win their first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 games of the season. And then they lose the one to Purdue, and they dropped in the rankings, like dropped. And like I hate them, but like I thought they dropped a little bit too much. Like I don't know if you remember, Brendy. I want to say they were like 3 or 4 and dropped to like 15 or something. It was like crazy.
I'm sorry. What was the matchup?
So, well, I was saying when they lost to Purdue, I think they're ranked like 3 or 4, and then dropped after that loss to like 5th. Like I want to.
So at the time, Ohio State was ranked number 2.
Oh, there you go. I knew they were up there in the top 10. Okay, or the top 5 rather. Okay. Do you know what they dropped? Like I think it was.
They started out at 2, and then they dropped down to 8.
Okay, I even thought it was more than that. Damn. Okay. Either way, I thought that was a pretty big drop. But you know what? They handled their business through the rest of the year. They beat MSU and then obviously Michigan, the big one, and they put themselves. All they could do is put themselves in the conversation. And they've done that. So, I don't know. I can't. I just can't see them. It's intriguing. It's intriguing to think that Northwestern might do it. Clayton Thorson, not, I don't know. I want to say they're going to get upset, but I just can't do it.
Well, I'll take the upset then. How about that?
All right, and that is our little bit of a preview for that. I'm like almost 100% positive when the playoffs come out, we would talk about that and our predictions there. Man, I gotta say, I said at the beginning of the year that I was a casual college football fan and wanted to get more into it this year. I am so glad I did. College football is so fun to watch, and the matchups from week to week, and it's just crazy to me. But we are running very late on time, so we're going to move swiftly along to Brendy's in case you missed the segment.
All right, so this week's In Case You Missed It, boys, let's get started. So I'm sure you guys have heard that Starbucks has announced that they are going to, if you're connected to their Wi-Fi, they are going to block all pornography on their websites.
Okay.
I'm sure you guys have heard of that.
I have, but it's just funny.
Because I don't really know why the hell would you be watching porn in public on Starbucks Wi-Fi anyway?
Right.
And anyway, so in retaliation to this, the popular NSFW website known as YouPorn has announced, as a result of this, they are going to ban Starbucks inside of their offices. So their workers are no longer allowed to drink Starbucks.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
And it came from a report from I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'll just say she's a reporter from the DC Examiner. But and apparently other porn companies are considering hopping on this bandwagon. So, do you think that they're doing the right thing, guys?
I want to I want to say something about YouPorn real quick because they're hilarious. They had an esports team for a while.
No joke.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not even joking.
Okay.
I wanted to look this up because I wanted to make sure I was thinking of the right people. I had to be very careful on what I Googled just now. Yeah. So they had a team in the Electronic Sports League called Team YP, and its primary sponsor was YouPorn, hence the Team YP. Which, by the way, they have they had players in Super Smash, so take that as you will. But they apparently got banned out a couple years ago. But it was a thing. I remember that being a thing. So I need to remember. I need to remember what that was, but. That is freaking funny.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So apparently, if you get caught drinking some Starbucks while you're working at your YouPorn desk.
You know what? I want to thank YouPorn just for the simple fact that Starbucks is the most overpriced bullshit coffee I've ever had. I drink coffee every goddamn morning, and I'm not paying $6 for ash. That's basically what you're getting. Dunkin' all the way. Can't change my mind. Or what? Wawa needs to be included in that conversation.
Yeah.
In terms of fast, quick coffee. In terms of fast, quick coffee. I'll say that.
That's funny.
That is freaking funny. That's funny.
What's your next story, Brendy?
All right, so my next story is going to be very near and dear to Bobby. So I'm sure you've heard this, Bobby. So I'm going to say it anyway. As you know, Gritty, the Philadelphia Flyers mascot, has already made his case for being the best mascot in professional sports.
Yep.
And he has done everything as far as making fans happy to running for Congress, you name it. He's going to do it. So, and of course, one thing that he has yet to do until recently, hit a half-court shot. And he has just recently done that at a game, at a Rutgers game to be specific.
You know what's funny? I literally just seen that video on my timeline 30 seconds ago. It's weird that you bring that up now.
Here's the funniest thing about Gritty. He comes out, and everyone goes, including myself, go, what in the fuck is this creature?
Yeah, I know.
And to be literally right now the most loved mascot in sports right now.
I took a bullet for Gritty.
He's like the Vegas Golden Knights of mascots. His inaugural year, he's doing all these crazy things. Literally, one of the first pictures he posted was the picture of the wine glass. Remember that picture? And then and also earlier a couple weeks ago, he made a bid for Person of the Year on Time Magazine.
That's where I thought Brendy was going with that. Yeah, the whole Person of the Year.
He's coming down from the ceiling. He's the butt of all memes in sports right now, and he's hitting half court shots. So every time mascot news comes up, anything to do with the Fanatic or even any other mascot outside of the Philadelphia area, I want each and every news article story to go in the Gritty era, just like they did with the Golden Knights.
That's what they should.
And I just want to say really quick 2 questions. First of all, how the hell do you hit a half-court shot in that suit? Number 2, how the hell do you do Number 2, how do you do a fucking split in that suit? Which is what he did after, like, as celebration of him hitting his half-court shot. He did a fucking split.
That was I know. I literally
not a full split, but like still a fucking split. Like fucking damn, dude. Like this man can do anything, or this thing, whatever it is. I don't know.
We never said what it is.
Yeah, and it's we guys. I'm sorry, but we don't deserve Gritty. We don't.
We don't really at all. He came at a great time. I gotta say.
Yeah,
he came at a great time in the world.
Yeah, that's it is such a great time. But we're gonna go ahead and move on.
Bobby, did you have some news for us?
Oh, so Kareem Hunt, this is getting fun on Twitter right now. You have no idea. All right, so let me fill you in. All right, so he gets released. Everyone knows the Chiefs have released the official statement. So apparently the release was not about the incident. It was the fact that the Chiefs were actually made aware of it after it happened. And apparently he lied to the organization about what happened, and the video was damning. And I guess the Chiefs decided we cannot trust this guy anymore, so he's gone.
So that's really interesting because the initial reports were just that the Chiefs had no idea, and everybody's like, "There's no way!" Like, come on. And
everyone knows.
If that's the case.
That's
crazy.
Let me read the official statement real quick. Give me a second. Let me just pull it back up because I am all over the place on Twitter. So
I can read it really quick if you need me to.
I got it. So this is coming from the Chiefs official Twitter account. And it says, and I quote, earlier this year, we were made aware of an incident involving running back Kareem Hunt. At that time, the National Football League and law enforcement initiated investigations into the issue. As part of our internal discussions with Kareem, several members of our management team spoke directly to him. Kareem was not truthful in those discussions. The video released today confirms that fact, and we are releasing Kareem immediately today. So, all right. So I feel a little more comfortable talking about this. I'm not going to get into what started this and what started that. I'm not interested. I'm interested in what a lot of people are interested right now is why was nothing done? So my understanding with it, and I hate quoting TMZ and or even talking about TMZ. I get it that they get it first, but they never get it right. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
I just want to say the only reason I linked that TMZ article was because it was the only way I could find the video.
I know, I understand that. I didn't even watch the video at the time. I just read what the article was, and the article got into like this, that, and the other thing, and I just wasn't about it. But yeah, no, you were fine. I knew you were just trying to link the video. I was just making a point. Please, dear God, do not cite anything from that article because we don't know what's what yet.
This is not the first time Bobby has went on a tangent about TMZ.
I cannot stand them. I'll tell the story another time, but not right now. Anyway, so here's what I don't understand. So I guess what TMZ said was, I thought they said something along the lines of there was an investigation and no charges were filed. Mm-hmm. Why?
Yeah, so that's why I said before, like, wait, you said charges were filed?
No,
Oh yeah, that's what I mentioned before.
they were not fired.
No, nobody was arrested at the time, and no charges were filed. Yeah,
So that
this
just might
doesn't-
be a personal decision by whoever that woman is,
Mhm.
because I think that's what it is. Because my understanding, according to the CMZ article, so please, dear God, take all this with a grain of salt for right now, is that they the police were called to the scene, but nobody got arrested, and no charges were filed at all. So, what?
Yeah,
I really don't understand this. So, I'm lost right now. I'm legitimately lost right now. So, okay, good on the Chiefs, I guess. If he was lying about the issue, I don't want to completely say guilty of this or guilty of that. I mean, that video obviously shows him, beating this woman, which I'm never going to condone. But yeah, there's obviously some story missing with a lot of this, right? I'm not going to say that even the story does not justify his actions, right? But I'm a big believer in context. So if it was something along the lines of she swung first, which so far there hasn't been any mention of that happening, and he did it, then maybe that's something that the organization looks at. But that's a gray area that I'm really trying not to get into at the moment.
right.
But by itself, I guess this was a good move by Kansas City. And I think I highly believe that Kansas City wasn't going to do anything. But if Kareem didn't lie about the situation, and nothing came out of it, and then this video gets... So let's say in an alternate universe that when the interviews originally happened from Kansas City and Kareem tells the exact truth, and then Kansas City does nothing because, again, no charges were filed according to the TMZ article. And then this video comes out today. Do the Chiefs release Kareem Hunt? I say no.
No, I don't think so either. I just, and again, it's so hard to talk about this stuff because of the what happened with the domestic violence case. But I just gotta say, talk about a career going from 0 to 100 back down to 0, because this guy only started playing because last year he started the season against the Patriots because of, I believe it was Spencer Ware was injured and didn't start the season. I think that was who was injured. He wins a starting job, has an amazing first season. Then he's coming back this season, also having an amazing career. So he went from being really nothing to building him way up, and now look where he is again. It's crazy.
Yeah,
So-
I don't really have much to add either, but I was just gonna say, yeah, I don't think he would have gotten released today either.
So I did want to add, so social media reaction is pretty mixed, but there's one thing everybody agrees on right now. It's that he's going to the Skins.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Yeah,
Because
so
they just signed Reuben Foster. That's why.
and
Who
they still
just
have
I'm sorry. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Reuben Foster had I think hit his wife or a girlfriend Sunday, and then got released, and then got signed the next day by the Redskins. So
yeah, and then they still have AP, right?
yeah.
And there's someone I can't find the tweet now, but someone said, "Oh, all right, so it sounds like a perfect fit for the Skins. You can have the child abuser and the women beater in the same room together." And then
Damn.
I'm looking at someone, I don't know who this person is, Troy Hughes at Tommy Sledge, said Reuben Foster and Kareem Hunt walk into the Redskins team meeting and it's a picture of the two Spider-Men pointing at each other.
Yeah. I know.
And,
I also just seen a tweet, and look, I don't want to laugh at this stuff. People are so just ruthless. Somebody tweeted, and I don't have their out because I've seen it for a second, but it was a Kareem Hunt and Reuben Foster would make a nice 1-2 punch, and I'm just like,
no,
why?
Jesus.
Or actually, it would have been better if they did AP. You get 2 running backs, but fuck,
Yeah,
man, people
Jesus.
are ruthless.
So
yeah.
I want to say this. So do you guys follow? I know our network account follows this at Urinating Tree. So this person,
I watch their YouTube videos all the time.
So okay, yeah, I didn't even know they were a YouTuber. They just popped up on my Twitter feed, and I thought they were funny. They make fun of literally anything that happens in any sport ever, from anything from hockey to football. So 5 hours ago, he tweeted the video saying prepare, and he says prepare the wheel of discipline.
And then 10 minutes ago, he goes, "Congratulations, Kareem Hunt. You shot a promising career to shit faster than your rise to fame. Now your opportunities for future employment are limited. Have fun on the Redskins, Raiders, Bengals, or Cowboys."
Oh man!
Jesus
All right, let's move on here. Like at 2
and
I mean, it's not that we had a lot of breaking news that I'm happy we covered, but we were running
lots of news like happening during the podcast.
I know it's great. I mean, it's not a great topic, but I love like breaking news on a podcast.
One more breaking news story, and I'm not even going to spend more than 10 seconds. This is that Tom Wilson just got another match penalty in his game for an illegal hit. Match penalty for interference, where he basically had shoulder-to-shoulder contact this guy from behind way after he let go of the puck. So the only reason I'm saying that because one, it's Tom Wilson, and number two, because I'm expecting the NHL to do something about this one. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on.
All right, yeah, no, I agree. All right, so our last big topic, and I'm gonna let Brendy run wild with this because this is his thing. His soccer team, the Atlanta United, have moved on and will face the Portland Timbers in the MLS Cup. That game is being played next Sunday.
Saturday.
Sorry, I knew I was saying something wrong. I knew it was next week, but I can't remember what day. So yeah, I kind of let you run wild with it. Kind of say everything from a United fan and kind of let you run with it.
Well, I am just going to say, as an Atlanta United fan, I am extremely happy because it seemed like, quite honestly, it seemed like kind of in the middle of the season, Atlanta United was kind of going to do the same thing that they were doing last season, which was get to the playoffs and then losing the knockout round or the conference semifinals, because they were between like May 9th and June 24th, they had, which is a very short period of time, they had 2 losses and 3 draws, which doesn't seem too bad until you realize they only played about 7 or 8 games in that span. And during that time span, I was like, oh man, this team is missing an identity. And all of a sudden, that's when Joseph Martinez decides, okay, I'm going to start setting records. And between May 30th and August 24th, they only lost once, which was to FC Dallas.
Crazy.
And I'm not counting U.S. Open Cup, because U.S. Open Cup, I never really expected Atlanta to go very far in.
Let me put it to you this way: if you're a good team in the MLS, you don't care about the U.S. Open Cup. You play your second team.
Right. That's what all the better teams have done. And like, there's a fucking reason the Houston Dynamo won the U.S. Open Cup. I'm just saying.
Yeah, exactly.
But no. So, I know a lot of people were saying, Atlanta United, they have a really good second team, and they could certainly at least contend in the U.S. Open Cup. They beat a USL team, but then lost to the Chicago Fire, who themselves have had a disappointing season. So, but now Atlanta United, and I'm sure you guys didn't really watch any of the games, but that one game against the New York City FC, in which there were a bunch of yellow cards handed out.
That was the first leg, right?
That was the second leg of the semifinal.
Okay, I'm trying.
Sorry, it's a little confusing because
there's New
Atlanta.
York
Atlanta played New York City and New York Red Bulls.
No, I'm trying because I watched, and I can't remember which game it was because I was kind of flipping through channels. I remember it was on a Sunday, so I was watching football. But I watched one of the games against NYFC. But I remember that was even like, if it wasn't the same game, that was chippy as well. So
yeah, so against NYFC, Atlanta United got the benefit of scoring an away goal against NYCFC and won that game 1-0 in the Bronx, which gave a supreme advantage to Atlanta United, and Atlanta United won 3-1 in the second leg of the semifinals. in which Martinez scored twice, and so did Miguel Almiron. But that was a game with a lot of yellow cards, and the referee was Mark Geiger, which Atlanta United fans hate. And then going to the conference final, it was Atlanta versus the Red Bulls, and Atlanta just put up, such a big, almost insurmountable scoring in the first leg that it basically seemed like it was done before the second leg had even started. The Red Bulls did score once against Atlanta, but it was in garbage time. I'm just saying it like that because I'm pretty sure there was only like 1 minute left of added time. It was scored in the 94th minute. But they managed to hold their lead. They were playing defense all throughout the game, and it's funny because in the first 10 seconds of the game, Joseph Martinez almost scored, but it was saved. And that in itself would have just, New York should have just conceded the loss because they would have had to score 5 goals with the away goals rule.
Right.
So now Atlanta's going to face a very, very scary looking Portland Timbers team who in of themselves have had a very, very up and down season. And I guess so the Portland Timbers started 0-2-3. So, no wins, 2 ties or 2 draws and 3 losses. And it was like, holy cow, Portland's, nothing anymore. And then they win 5 straight games. So they went weeks 6 through 20 without a loss. And then they lost 4 straight. And then they've kind of been up and down. So they've been a very, very inconsistent team. It kind of sucks that, you never want to play against the inconsistent teams. Never. Because anything can happen.
Yeah.
And looking at their MLS road, their road to the MLS Cup final. Let's see, they played FC Dallas in the knockout. They won 2-1, which you only do 1 game for the knockout. Mm-hmm. And then let's see, in the semifinals, they were up 2-1 in the first leg, and then looks like
Seattle won 3-2, but they won on the away goals.
Penalties.
Oh, yeah, that's right, penalties. Yes.
Right.
Or no, it was. I'm sorry, I'm not sure because ESPN has it on away goals, but.
ESPN's wrong because I remember watching the penalties.
That's what I was gonna say. I remember watching the penalties. So what are they talking about?
Yeah, they don't know what they're talking about. So Portland advanced on penalties. They got goals from I believe from Blanco, if I'm not mistaken, Sebastian Blanco,
Mm-hmm.
and also Diarra and Asparilla, both very, very scary looking players. But they were able to advance on penalty kicks. And then they moved on to face Sporting Kansas City, who I would have preferred to play in the MLS Cup final against. They drew their first leg at Portland, which basically meant that Portland had to play on the road against a very good Sporting Kansas City team. And Portland was able to win 3-2, which, by the way, was an amazing game. Blanco scored again, and Diego Valeri scored twice, 1 and at a time.
Yeah. By the way, the 9th minute of that time.
Yeah, 9th minute of at a time.
What is going on?
Yep. So now they're looking to face Atlanta United in the MLS Cup, and it's going to be at Atlanta. Probably, I saw an interesting stat. The highest attendance for an MLS Cup game was 62,000, which is probably going to be broken. That I don't think that's a hot take.
No, I mean they were drawing more than 62,000 just for regular season games, weren't they?
Well, let's see. When the stadium was closed, it was a little bit above 45,000. But when it was full capacity, it was above 70,000 every game.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, I was gonna say I thought it was upwards of 70.
Right. So now, my quick predictions. I'm gonna say. I'll say Atlanta United wins 2-0. I think Martinez, and I'll say Franco Escobar gets a goal.
I would say the favorites in this are definitely Atlanta United.
Right. There's not really any betting lines on this, I don't think.
No, I'm just saying as like they had a good year, obviously. You were telling me a stat earlier that I actually want you to bring up again because I forget it. But you were saying about they have the most points to not win the.
Yeah. So
yeah.
both. It's kind of funny because the New York Red Bulls and Atlanta United both broke the previous points record. And Atlanta United has the most amount of points for a team to not win the Supporter Shield. And the Supporter Shield is basically the award you're given for having the most points at the end of the Major League Soccer season.
Right.
Which used to be kind of a big deal in terms of the CONCACAF Champions League, but it's not really so much anymore. But it's still, nice to, have a Supporter Shield in your resume. And a lot of Atlanta United fans were, upset that they didn't get the Supporter Shield. So, hopefully the MLS Cup trophy pays off in the end.
Yeah. It's a matchup I'm looking forward to. Definitely will be watching, and I know you will. Obviously, it's going to be a good one. If I have a prediction, I'll go 3-1 Atlanta United. And with Joseph Martinez getting a brace. And I don't know, probably like Almiron getting the other one. I don't know. It's probably like a very generic prediction, but Martinez has just been amazing this year.
God,
so I can see him getting 2, and then somebody else finishing it off. But yeah, looking forward to it. The MLS has been pretty good this year. It's on the rise. I was not that I was trashing the MLS before, but it's still almost a fact to me that European soccer is better, but MLS is getting better. It's enjoyable to watch. So, if you are looking to get on that bandwagon, definitely tune into that game. All right, we will finish up our podcast with our Week 13 predictions from the NFL. Last week we missed. We didn't do a podcast because of Thanksgiving, so we will just skip over Week 12 and go to Week 13. The NFL is weird this week. There's a lot of good teams playing, like really good teams playing really bad teams. There's no like mediocre teams playing, so we try to pick some mediocre teams, and then the big boys. So the one that we picked that's kind of an interesting matchup is Denver at Cincinnati. That's two teams that are fighting for a wild card in the AFC, and whoever loses that game is most likely out. So that's the game. Then the big games is Minnesota at New England, and then the Sunday night football game, the Chargers at Pittsburgh. So we start with my Denver Broncos at Cincinnati. Bobby, I'll let you start with your prediction.
So Denver, not where I thought they would be. I'll be dead honest. Coming off a pretty big win. I'm a big believer the momentum factor in Cincinnati has been on the goddamn decline. Remember when they were okay? Remember that?
Remember when they were like, I want to say like 4-1 or something like that?
Yeah, remember when they were good for a split second? Yeah, it doesn't matter anymore. I got Denver still riding high and continuing the streak. I got them winning 20-14.
Yeah, and I kind of have the same thing. Denver is they're playing well. My hot take at the during the hot take episode. Maybe I might be right. We'll see what happens. But
it's only half right there, pal. Chill.
All right. Let's listen now.
I'm all ears, kid.
All right. Well, look, if the Broncos win out, might have a chance. We'll see, though. I do definitely think they can beat Cincinnati, though. Cincinnati's not playing well. And Denver, they beat the Chargers and the Steelers in back-to-back weeks. I think they can definitely do it to the Bengals. So I'll have the Broncos winning in a close one, 24-20.
Listen. All I'm gonna say to you is that Californians are making a move to ban plastic straws. Once it happens in Georgia, Atlanta's gonna have nothing to pick at anymore. That's all I'm saying.
All right, now listen here, Bobby.
Oh man. All right. So here's the thing about the AFC. You got your top heavy teams, your division leaders, and then you got the Chargers, who are the wild card team, 8-3. There's about 6 teams competing for one spot in the AFC. And out of the 6 teams, Denver and Cincinnati are 2 of the teams. This is a must-win for whoever wants that wild card. Now Denver getting a little bit lucky because, well, it's them getting lucky that they caught them Cincinnati on this week, and unlucky for the Bengals. Andy Dalton, I don't know what the diagnosis was, but he's out for the season with a thumb or hand injury of some sort that happened last week.
Think it was a broken thumb.
Okay, I thought it probably was. So they got Jeff Driscoll starting. Watch him throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns or something. But no, Denver has been looking good. One guy that does not, a rookie, an undrafted rookie at that, who's been having a hell of a year and needs to be in like the rookie of the year discussion. I know that you got your big boys that are the candidates, but for the Denver Broncos, Philip Lindsay is having a hell of a season. For an undrafted rookie. He doesn't. First of all, he doesn't get enough touches. That's the one problem. The other problem is the guy that we drafted, Royce Freeman, who is another beast, is splitting touches with him. But Philip Lindsay has been a beast. Overall, I think Denver comes in, gets the job done, and then you never know. I mean, they were looking dead in the water, but you got some winnable games coming up. You're gonna have to play the Chargers one more time, which sucks. Or no, have they played? I'm trying to think if they played the Chargers twice. Either way, they have some winnable games coming up. I think they get it done. I have the final score.
Are you talking about the Broncos or
Yeah.
the Bengals? Yeah, the Broncos have only played the Chargers once. They played the Chargers. Okay. They played the Chargers in the last game of the season.
Okay, that's I for some reason I couldn't remember if they played them twice already. But yeah, you got some winnable games coming up, and then you got to beat them. But yeah, final score for me: Denver 23, Cincinnati 13. All right, next game. Minnesota is traveling to Foxborough to take on the Pats. Bobby, let me hear your predictions.
All right, so Minnesota is always one of those teams I'm scared of, even though I don't really have to be scared of them too often because NFC. But it's they're a team that I've always seen as this. You really don't want to get on the wrong side of them, like, at all. But here's the thing: as good as Kirk Cousins has been, he's always on the goddamn ground. It's bad. So, and here's the thing with New England, and it seems to be always what it is, even with Patricia gone, is that if there's a loophole somewhere in anything, the Patriots are going to take advantage of it. I mean, they were filming the Jets practices, so they're always looking.
Shot at his own team.
I listen, man. If you can't take shots at your own team, you're not a real fan. So here's the thing. I think just that by itself, even though New England's defense has been pretty subpar for most of the season, I'm sure they'll be able to kind of take down that offensive line pretty quickly. That being said, I do have a little bit of a shootout going, but I think actually this game will end with a couple of Gostkowski field goals. So I got New England winning 27-21 at home.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go with my trap game gut feel. Like, this is definitely a game where I feel like if obviously it's played at New England, but this is one of these games where if the Patriots don't come to play, if they I'm not saying underestimate their opponent, because like they're the Vikings, they're 6-4-1, they're still a very decent team in contention. But with that said, I do have a feeling that this game is going to be a lot closer than many people anticipate. I think Kirk Cousins is probably going to have, he's going to have a pretty good game. I think Tom Brady is going to be a little lackluster in this game. I think the Vikings defense could definitely make a huge difference in this game. I'm still going to have New England edging it out by I'm going to say a field goal. it could come down to one drive, or it could be a complete blowout. We'll see. But I'll have the Patriots winning 23-20.
Okay, I'm sitting here thinking, do I want to change my prediction? Because I've been sitting here thinking like this was the game I actually had the most trouble with. Just something about this to me seems like this could be the game that that is, like Brendy said, a trap game. I'm gonna stick with my original prediction and have New England win. I just looked at the last couple games that New England has. It's interesting because when I bring it back up, so they play the Vikings this week. Hypothetically, let's just say they lose this game, right? They play the Dolphins next week, which is the Dolphins, but it's in Miami, and we know what happens with the Patriots in Miami.
Right.
And then you got the Steelers the next week, so it's gonna be a couple. It's gonna be a couple interesting weeks for the Patriots. I do have them winning this game, though. I have the final score being, excuse me, 31-20 New England. And the last game on the slate, this should be a good one. I'm excited for this one. The Chargers at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. Bobby, go ahead with the final game.
My God, fucking Pittsburgh. All right. What a season. Yeah, lost their star running back, but got a new one in the process. Also suck. So Pittsburgh came off a terrible loss.
Yeah, that wasn't
terrible. How on earth, dude?
As a Steelers fan, Big Ben throwing an interception to end the game when the 2-yard line isn't the greatest look.
How? All right. Look, I do not have much hopes for Pittsburgh at this point. That being said, I know, Ty, you and I have been high on the Chargers. Brendy has not been. And I mean, I'll say this with how their season's going right now. I mean, they're second in the AFC West. They've lost to the Broncos too. So you guys got that. They got that in common. It's going to be a good game, but I do think Pittsburgh is, man, that's a bad place to be playing. That it's a bad place to be. Yeah. Heinz Field is it's like Winnipeg in the NHL. It really is. It's really bad. I think the crowd's definitely going to get the hot behind the Steelers in this one. I think they're definitely going to start pushing and make one big, look, we're still here type of statement. But I do have it being close. I have Pittsburgh winning this one just barely, 28-21.
Okay. Well, I think Pittsburgh's got it figured out. I know they lost to the Broncos, but that was their only loss since I think since week 4 or week 5.
Yeah.
And other than that, it's been straight, every game except for the game against, let's see, Jacksonville, has been decided by 7 or more points. So they have been defeating teams very handily. And I think their offense has finally figured it out. I think the bye week came at a perfect time for them in week 7. And ever since then, they have seemed to be just lights out, and they seem to be on a they definitely seem to be on a tear. It seems like the Broncos definitely stopped their momentum, but I see that as more of a wake up call and be like, hey, you're not unstoppable, more or less. So I'm gonna have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm trying to decide if I want to change the score, but I'm gonna stick with the prediction. I'll have Pittsburgh coming on top of the Chargers. I'll say 34-24.
I'll say this much about the Steelers. Okay, yeah, they've handed out some pretty exceptional victories, but I've caught their games a little bit more than usual this season. They just look weird. Their plays are sloppy.
They don't got our boy back there, Le'Veon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, Ben's. I don't know what he was throwing last week. I mean, that some of his, I don't know, some of his vision, it just didn't make sense to me of where he was throwing. That's just me. I don't know.
All right, and I'll end this off. So, I don't know why. So the Chargers have been they've been very good this year. By the way, just, I hate the Chargers as much as anybody else being a Broncos fan, but Phillip Rivers is having a sneaky really good season, like MVP kind of talk. Last week he had 25 completions. I think it was 25 completions before he threw it at incompletion. Crazy. But anyway, so the Chargers are 8-3, Pittsburgh 7-3-1. For some reason, this game just to me seems like Pittsburgh's going to be like, look, we're still like number 2 in the AFC. In the past 5 years, it's been us in New England. You need to step back, and we're gonna win this game. And being at Heinz Field, I feel pretty confident about them. You know what? I love this guy with what was happening last year and everything, but our guy Juju is having a hell of a year. Had that 97-yard touchdown last week.
That won me a big must-win game in fantasy for me last week. You have no idea. I'm in a PPR league, so you can imagine what a 97-yard touchdown does.
And I just it's crazy because he's actually leading the team in receiving yards on a team that has Antonio Brown on it. So
yeah, it's very hidden too because you don't notice. Like you really don't notice him out there until he gets the ball in his hands, and what he's doing is pretty magic. Just wait until a couple of years. He's gonna be a bigger star than he already is.
Right. No, like I said, I don't know. To me, I just have Pittsburgh being like this is us. So I have the final score being 28-24 Pittsburgh.
And really quick before we wrap up, I just want to do a lock of the week and an upset of the week.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not really gonna do an explanation. I'm just gonna say lock of the week: Chicago over the Giants. Upset: 49ers over Seahawks.
I would the lock. Oh man, but the only thing with the Bears is that Trubisky's not going to be playing. But I
still have it as a lock. I there's not really a whole lot of lock games other than maybe Rams over Lions.
So what's your punishment if you get both of these wrong?
Nothing.
When you come up to Jersey, bullshit. We get to throw you in the Delaware River.
Oh my God!
You guys can do locks and upsets too.
No, because I'm not stupid enough to make those kind of calls.
All right, well then I'll be stupid enough.
If he gets both of them right, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I might just delete the Discord and the Google Drive and everything else.
Right,
fuck my pizza.
Oh, fuck pizza.
This
you just quote yourself.
I know.
Yes.
What the fuck is happening?
My pizza. Oh, fuck my pizza.
Boy,
wrap it up, Tyler.
I'm trying to. All right, we ran long on this.
Take two.
Despite the what the information was about with Kareem Hunt, it was actually kind of fun to break the news of it, and we kind of had a good talk.
It's like we enjoy news reporting or something.
It's like that's interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What do you know? We discovered something about ourselves today. Good job, everybody. Successful podcast.
We wrap up here. Zach will hopefully be joining us again next week for episode 15.
Missed a good one.
As I usually do, if you'd like to contact us on any platform, we do have a Twitter at Play Network. I know I said this weeks ago, we're still trying to get our shit together. The Facebook page we have set up, but we're trying to figure out what we want to do with it. We'll figure that out.
Any ideas, let us know.
Yeah, really, because
we have no idea what the hell we're doing.
We're trying to say, yeah. So, and as always, if you like the video, give it a like. If you're listening on not YouTube, give it a like rating. If you're on iTunes and a review. And we will see you next week for episode 15 of the Come Play podcast.
Peace.
Zach Daddy, I miss you.